let's talk about the best and worst of Mr. Keanu Reeves, and then we'll get into some YouTube clips, and then Greg's special exercise, because it's a good one tonight. So, folks, we want to highlight the highlights and sometimes the lowlights. So we like to talk about the best and worst of these particular subjects this episode. So it was hard to find the worst for this, but it was a challenge worth undertaking for me. And I was able to find one. But Ken, I want to start with you. Best and worst of
all right.
of Keanu
So
Reeves.
best, I did actually go with The Matrix. It's, I said John Wick for definitive, but like John Wick owes a heck of a lot to The Matrix. The Matrix is one of the most influential movies of the past 30 years. It's undeniable in that regard. So it utilizes Keanu, I think, in one of the best ways. It makes his kind of, as Greg would say, monotone, kind of awe, believable with the character. So the Matrix. It doesn't feel like there's a lot that needs to be said about The Matrix being, a best movie there. For worst, I went with a movie that came out a couple years before The Matrix called Johnny Mnemonic, if I'm saying that name right.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
I actually, one of the reasons I hate it or say it's the worst is because it made me miss out on seeing The Matrix in the movie theater, because I saw Johnny Mnemonic, and then a couple years later, The Matrix comes out, and I said to myself, I saw this movie a couple years ago, and it was Johnny Mnemonic. Why am I going to go see it again? And so I missed out on The Matrix in the movie theater and didn't see it until freshman year of college on DVD. So it came out in that weird 95, 96 range where there was Hollywood was doing futuristic sci-fi, but they were doing it with this in between stage of really bad early CGI, transitioning out of doing practical effects and stuff like that. And so it's just not a good movie, just really, really bad. So Johnny Mnemonic.
All right. I'll go next. I'll save Greg for last here. Let's start off with the good. I'm going to say his best performance from an acting standpoint is The Devil's Advocate. You give me Devil's Advocate any day of the week. He is phenomenal in that movie. You don't get the action Keanu, and you don't necessarily even get cheesy line Keanu. You get disturbed, paranoid, anguish. You see emotion. He's going for it. And you know what? He's acting next to Pacino. Pacino's in full self-parody mode at that point. Got a nice young Charlize Theron in that movie too. Great chemistry between the two of them. But again, he's giving you everything. Now, the Southern accent is a little weird. I'm not gonna lie.
Lose! I don't lose! I win!
Let's not get out of control.
Are we
Accents.
Who compared Keanu Reeves to Matthew McConaughey? Who was that?
No.
Ken.
I didn't say
Ken.
as an actor. I said as a person, personality wise.
Personality.
Southern accents are not.
Let's be honest. When it comes to accents, Keanu is not necessarily a great. He's no
Dracula.
Yeah.
British accent.
But again, he's giving you everything, and I love it. I love his performance in that. So worst, okay. There were some candidates. I'm not gonna lie. I am gonna have to go with Bram Stoker's Dracula. That is his worst. It ruins the movie. He ruins the movie. It's actually, if you fast forward through all of his clips, and anytime he's not on screen, it's actually a pretty decent movie. Gary Oldman's doing his best. Winona Ryder's amazing. But yeah, Keanu, every time he comes on and starts talking, you're like, oh my God.
Doctor, you must understand. I doubted everything. Even my mind. I was impotent with fear.
Now, I've defended his performance on this podcast, I believe, previously. I'd have to go back and look. But the story was At that point in his career, he had done like 4 movies back to back to back to back. And he said, and he has said this, I should never have done that movie because I was mentally not in a good place and blah, 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 blah. So I will give him a pass. Like, I'm not going to say that kills his legacy. It just happened to be his worst performance at one of the most important times where, you probably needed a hit. But anyway, Bram Stoker's Dracula. That's the worst. Okay, Greg. Best and worst.
You guys already took my pick, so this will be largely uneventful, but I'll add a couple things. Best Matrix, no need to say. Worst, Bram Stoker's Dracula. Here's the thing, guys. Let's say he was fully rested. He spent 6 months at a tropical island, then came to do Bram Stoker's Dracula. Will we get any different a performance than what we actually got from him?
Yes.
He cannot hold a candle.
You know what you would get? You would get Much Ado About Nothing, Keanu Reeves, which is just a little bit of better. Just a little better.
Shakespeare, I know.
Shakespeare.
We should shout that out because that'll probably be my next choice after Bram Stoker's Dracula is.
I thank you. I am not of many words, but I thank you.
Him doing Shakespeare as the worst.
Tough class. Yeah, he was like Christian Laettner on the Dream Team. It's tough to do Shakespeare up against
Denzel
Washington, and Emma
Kenneth
Thompson, and Kenneth Branagh. Like and Robert Sean Leonard at the So it's tough to be on that team.
I can't understand how bad he is in Dracula, and I want to ask you guys a question: who's worse, Reeves in Dracula or Sofia Coppola in Godfather III?
Sofia Coppola, Godfather 3.
Sofia Coppola.
And
I'll tell you what.
Think about that. You gave quick answers.
I did.
I think you're right. I think you're right, but I had to think about that for 10 seconds before.
Here's the thing, and I'm not even looking this up. You can see seamless. I'm not stopping and pausing and editing. If you go back and watch The Godfather Part 3, go to the restaurant scene when she's talking to Vincent, Andy Garcia's character. They're in the kitchen. Yeah. They're having this dialogue scene of like why she's attracted to her first cousin.
Right.
It is disturbing. The way she delivers dialogue is one of the worst things ever. And I will also say this: the stakes were higher for her, so it's a greater degree of failure. Like how can you flub up being in The Godfather and being so bad that people disown that movie? Like Keanu Reeves is bad, but no one's disowning Dracula. No one's saying that movie doesn't exist. Godfather 3 is like one of those movies that we don't talk about because of Sofia Coppola.
Counterpoint. Sofia Coppola had no previous acting training or experience prior to that movie. What was Keanu Reeves' excuse?
He was exhausted.
He got 6 hours sleep.
He'd done 4 movies back to back to back. Come on now. Keanu didn't derail an entire franchise. Like he didn't. Like it had.
Give him a chance, and he could.
It's like Godfather 3 is so bad because of Sofia Coppola that it's insulting to everybody's intelligence that it got nominated for Best Picture that year because everybody was like, "What are you talking about? This movie's terrible."
That movie's not terrible.
Anytime Sofia Coppola's on
it, I mean, she's bad in it, and she prevents it from being. Yeah, right.
By the way,
you cast her with Winona Ryder as it's supposed to be, and. Someone else other than George Hamilton, you have a very good movie. I mean, same basic story.
So, Greg, you have brought receipts. This is a first, by the way.
Well, we'll just do one, just for the sake of brevity.
All right. So, Greg has brought some clips. Sir, the floor is yours.
Okay. So, I'm going to show you a clip from John Wick 2, and I want you to just explain to me Keanu Reeves' line reading here. So,
his line reading. Okay.
Yes.
Here,
yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So here we go.
While my judgment comes in the form of excommunicado, the High Table demand a more severe outcome if their traditions are refused.
I have no choice.
I have no choice. What is that? Explain that line reading.
It's self-realization. He's saying it to himself, and he's saying it to Ian McShane.
He's being deliberate and trying to remove emotion from his explanation.
Now, I didn't hear deliberateness in that. No.
Here, say, cue me up. Ready? Okay, hold on. Blah 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 blah. I have no choice. See, I would do the same. I would say the exact same.
I have no choice.
Yeah.
If you said that to me, if I'm Ian McShane in that scene, I'm not believing you. I'm like, why are you doing a robot imitation right now? What is this? I don't.
Wow.
See, I feel like you do have a choice because you're just telling me like you're reading from a script or something like that. You get Tom Cruise or some other like 50 other actors.
Tom Cruise is
He's
not
way better.
John Wick.
Oh,
Stop it.
First of all, he's played that type of
He
character.
doesn't. The character doesn't run enough for Tom Cruise.
Well, they would have.
No,
fun.
he hobble runs. He hobble,
Right.
he hobble runs.
Right. You either gotta be more menacing or more like
Mm.
mopey. Like he's like perfectly in the middle with like no tone on either side to like understand like what the heck, what the heck is he thinking?
Terrible. Terrible.
Like, oh, he's terrible at it. I'm like, I literally paused the movie, rewound it, and then took a video of it just to watch.
Ken-
Well, I mean, not
Ken, this
watch it
reminds me of
again,
the
but
time
just so I
when-
could keep it favorite and show it on this podcast. I'm like, what the hell is this?
I figured it
watched
out.
3 times.
Keanu is Greg's. I feel like I'm taking crazy pills. Actor.